Have you ever felt as if someone was whispering your name from a place far, far away, a place you've never been to, and yet it feels deeply tied to your destiny, Sagittarius? Not because of memory, but because your soul has always been called every time the world needs someone to bring light into the dark. Today, I need you to know this. A secret meeting just ended. Not a public gathering, no name tags, no invitations. And yet, your name, Sagittarius, was at the center. And what makes me unable to stay silent is this. Someone walked out of that room in tears. Not because you threatened them, but because your light illuminated the part of their soul they wanted to keep hidden. The next 30 minutes won't just be a story. They will be the journey of you stepping out of the shadow of being misunderstood and returning to the destiny the universe carved specifically for you, Sagittarius. If you feel this energy touching you, leave a comment now. I am not anonymous. I was chosen by the universe to awaken. Because for Sagittarius, words are not just expression, they are an invocation of ancient power that has been asleep across hundreds of lifetimes. And if your heart is beginning to feel something stir within, leave a like, share this video as a message from Sagittarius to the souls who are lost, so that together we can rekindle the fire the world tried to extinguish in you. But what exactly was that meeting? Who mentioned your name? And why couldn't they contain their emotions when speaking of someone like you? Now is the time to open that door and see how your name, Sagittarius, showed up in that space. Do you know, Sagittarius, that person cried? Not because you hurt them, not because you said anything cruel, not because you raised your voice to demand justice. They cried because your presence reminded them of who they once could have become. When your name echoed in that sacred space, a wave of energy touched the memory they had buried long ago. No one forced them to cry, but the soul, when it meets true light, can no longer lie to itself. There was a part of their light that had been abandoned, and the light you carry awakened that part. It was painful, suffocating, but honest. Because light doesn't always come to soothe. Sometimes it comes to awaken. An awakening, as you already know, always comes with a heavy price, especially if you've lived too long in the dark. I've seen this in many people. Souls who harmed others, not because they were truly evil, but because they couldn't stand the truth that someone else still preserved the purity they had lost. Sagittarius, you are the mirror of that truth. Your soul, though wounded, still holds something precious. Faith in yourself and in the light. People often mistake forgiveness as a form of surrender. But I want to tell you, from lived experience, from the wisdom of thousands of star charts, forgiveness is one of the strongest manifestations of inner power. Not because you let things go, but because you refuse to let yourself be trapped in resentment. You refuse to let their darkness take hold of your light. It wasn't a collapse. Darkness is never destroyed through war. It is dissolved only when it's brought face to face with light. And when that person cried, it wasn't a collapse. It was the first time they faced themselves after a long journey of pretending. Sagittarius, do you realize this? You have already forgiven, even if you never said the words, just by continuing to live true to the light within you. Just by not becoming them, you gave them a chance to reflect. And this is what I want you to remember. To live in truth is the most powerful act of forgiveness. Sometimes the light you carry isn't just meant to illuminate your own path. It's meant to melt the frozen layers that have formed around someone else's heart. You don't need to scream to reclaim anything. Just holding that flame, even if it's only an ember, is enough to make the darkness tremble. So if someone once hurt you, and now they return, not to apologize, but simply to cry alone, don't turn away. But don't embrace them too quickly either. Just stand still in the steadiness, kindness, and honesty of your soul, and the universe will do the rest. The real lesson here is not in their tears. It's in the way you chose not to let pain become hatred. You've grown beyond the person you were yesterday, and that is the greatest victory a soul can ever achieve. So, have you ever wondered, could there be someone out there remembering you, not through words, but through tears? And if so, what would you choose to do? Would you continue to walk in your light, or return to being the version of yourself they hoped you'd be? If any of this is reaching you, leave a comment below. I choose the light, even if others chose the dark with me. This sentence is not just a statement, it is a prayer, a doorway, a way for the souls who once hurt you to find their way back to themselves. And you will still be the one holding the light. Not for them, but for yourself. There is a gate opening, silently, invisible to the naked eye. No one hears the hinges turn. But if you're a Sagittarius, your soul has felt it for a long time. A quiet movement, as if the universe is picking up a forgotten file covered in the dust of time, and beginning to turn its pages. The first page bears your name, and the first line reads, "Cannot be molded." Because, dear Sagittarius, your destiny has never looked like anyone else's. You weren't born to follow someone else's path. You are the one who draws your own map, finds your own direction, and sometimes gets lost between horizons too vast to name. Everyone has a birth chart, but yours is not a map. It is a thread of red string, twisting between destiny, truth, and an ancient wound. This month, Saturn, the planet of lessons and limitations, is moving through one of your most sensitive zones. Have you wondered lately why your emotions feel so strangely fragile, as if your soul is being called home by something unseen? The answer lies in the stars, because at the same time, Chiron, the asteroid of soul-wound healing, has begun to speak. Not through language, but through quiet exhaustion, through sleepless nights without reason, through moments where you suddenly feel like a stranger to yourself. You're not falling apart. You're being rewritten. Destiny, like a skilled craftsman, is carefully removing the old layers of protection you wrapped around yourself just to survive this world. It's not doing it violently. It simply starts making you ask questions. About your goals, about people, about your soul. And maybe in these days you've been asking yourself, who am I? Why do the things that once brought me joy now feel hollow? Why do I feel lost, even among the people I know best? If you're feeling that way, know this: you're not on the wrong path. You're on the right one, but at a deeper level. You're not lost, you're separating, to become yourself in the most honest and liberated way possible. Destiny is not here to break you. It's here to remove what no longer belongs to you. Having spent more than half a lifetime observing the rise and fall of star cycles, I've seen this happen again and again to souls with great missions. Before they are summoned, they always go through a period that feels like disorientation. But in truth, it's the moment when all outside maps are being taken away, so they can finally see the one glowing from within. Sagittarius, you were never normal, and that's exactly why you've always felt different. Because those who come to change the world never feel at home in a world built on illusions. If any of this feels true for you, leave a comment below. I am being rewritten, not to fit in, but to be free. Because that declaration is not just a post, it is a birthright, the naming of a new version of you. And tell me, Sagittarius, have you ever felt like everything suddenly became foreign, even to yourself? If so, that's the signal. You're being called back to your true destiny. But what waits for you on the other side of this reconstruction? What is approaching now that you're ready to release the old version of yourself? The gate is opening, not just for you to walk through, but for you to activate the flame your ancestors handed down to you. When Sagittarius rises, what has been hidden must come to light. Not because you want to wage war, not because you seek to expose anyone, but because you can no longer live in a world where wrong is disguised as right and falsehood is sold as adaptation. Sagittarius, you rule the ninth house, the house of knowledge, religion, law, truth, and great journeys. You're not just a witness to life, you are the one who demands meaning from it. And every time you step into a phase of awakening, like now, not only does the energy within you change, the space around you begins to shift as well. People who once seemed friendly start to show different eyes. Events that felt random begin to show signs of design. And what once felt normal suddenly becomes impossible to accept. I have to tell you the truth. and it might not be easy to hear. You can no longer stay in a place built on illusions, the same place you once tried so hard to adapt to. When Sagittarius rises, the light you carry will burn through the masks around you, even the ones you once called safe. And that's not wrong. It's natural, because you weren't born to stay silent. You were born to say the things others fear to say, to ask the questions others are too afraid to ask, and to keep the fire alive for the truths the world tries to smother. I've seen many Sagittarians choose silence just to keep the peace. But light never belongs to compromise, and sooner or later you'll have to choose. Keep yourself small to fit in places that no longer fit you, or open your wings and accept that initial loneliness is the price of true freedom. There's something few people notice. Every time a Sagittarius stands up, the secrets around them begin to fall apart. Not because you did anything wrong, but because your light makes it impossible for the unclear to survive. That secret meeting, where your name was spoken, wasn't just a discussion. It wasn't just a meeting. It was the sound of a drum announcing the opening act of a play where every mask is about to fall, one by one. A chain of events is beginning, set to expose the alliances of shadow around you, the ones who pretended to support you, but secretly hoped you'd fail. The ones who used admiration as a disguise for envy. The ones who said, "I'm always here for you," while their soul was somewhere else entirely. You don't need to expose them. The universe will do that, as naturally as sunlight, when it rises, leaves the darkness with nowhere left to hide. Astrology is showing something important. In the coming weeks, the moon will move into Sagittarius, ushering in an intensely sensitive time for intuition, dreams, and inner truth. Pay attention to your dreams. The images you see at night are not random. They are puzzle pieces, messages, symbols rising from the depths of your soul, things your daytime mind cannot decode, but your soul understands completely. Sometimes, a dream you thought meant nothing is the final warning before something collapses. Or, it's the very first invitation into a journey far greater than anything you ever imagined. Here's my personal truth. Not every truth needs to be spoken, but every truth needs to be lived. You don't need to shout, you just need to live clearly. And when you do that, the world around you will be forced to choose. Either evolve to align with your truth, or step off the path you are walking. Sagittarius, Sagittarius, your light was never meant to be held in the palm of your hand. It is a torch passed down from your ancestors, from those who lived, who fought, and who failed so you could rise. You carry a kind of teaching not written in books, but carved in blood, in tears, and in lived experience. You are the reminder that truth, even when buried, always rises again. And once it rises, everything hidden around you can no longer stay in the shadows. If you've ever discovered something wrong, but no one believed you, no one stood by you, leave a comment. I don't need agreement, I only need truth. Because that's not just a personal affirmation. It's a signal to the universe that you are ready to step into your true mission. And you know what? Before you can figure out where you're going, you must remember who you are. There are days you wake up, look into the mirror, and no longer recognize the person staring back. Not because you've become worse, but because you are being rewritten. Your soul is erasing every old draft just to keep one thing: truth. The things that once made you happy now feel faded. The places that once gave you a sense of belonging now feel like clothes that no longer fit. Even the people who once felt safe now leave you gasping for breath. You've tried naming it: fatigue, burnout, a seasonal shift. But none of those words feel right, because deep down you know this isn't weariness. It's the tension between a soul that has grown and a life that has become too small. Still underneath it all, you know something is changing. Let me tell you something, not from the stance of an astrologer, but from the soul of someone who has lost themselves many times while growing up. This is not a breakdown. This is an awakening. You are not wrong. You are upgrading the frequency, of your soul. Sagittarius, you were not born to hold on to things forever. You are the sign of movement, of expansion, of setting fire to every boundary. So when everything around you starts to feel not enough, it's not because you are ungrateful. It's because your soul is craving something more real. The universe knows that. And so, it begins to dissolve what no longer belongs. Some people will leave on their own. Some old dreams will fall apart. Some beautiful plans will suddenly lose all meaning. Not to strip you of everything, but to make space for a version of you that is truer, stronger, and born exactly for the mission ahead. I used to believe I had to try harder, be more perfect, just to be worthy of what is good. But then I realized, you don't have to strain to be worthy. You already are the light, even if you can't see it yet. Light is not a reward, it is your essence. Who you used to be no longer matters. What matters now is this: who are you becoming each time you choose truth, choose yourself, and choose to release what has expired? I know, there's pain in this process. Maybe you feel lost in things that once felt familiar. Maybe you feel alone even when you're surrounded by others. Maybe you're afraid, if I'm no longer who I used to be, will anyone still love me? But the real question is, if no one expects you to return to your old self, then who will you become? Do you have the courage to find out? Not because someone wants you to change, but because your soul itself is whispering, "We've been here long enough, it's time to go home." If you're in this stage, leave a comment. I'm not returning, I'm rising. That affirmation isn't just the start of a new chapter. It's a whole new coordinate system where you no longer live to fit in, but live to truly shine. And let me remind you, you're not losing yourself. You're finding yourself again before the world told you who to be. And this time, you won't turn back. But what will you face next? The door has opened, but do you have the faith to walk through it? Can you recognize that the old version of you has already fallen away, and the one who truly belongs to you is waiting just ahead? Someone cried in that meeting, not because they regretted hurting you, but because they realized they had lost the chance to become part of your light. And that is the deepest kind of sorrow a soul can carry, knowing they once stood near the flame, but chose the comfort of the shadows. But you, Sagittarius, you never lived to be accepted. You live to illuminate. Because true light is enough on its own. I know, not everyone will understand your journey. Some will turn away, some will doubt you, but light doesn't need to be proven. It only needs to be lived. So if you feel yourself rising, if you know you are no longer your old self, if truth is beginning to break through around you, then leave a comment. I am no longer hidden. I was chosen to shine. Because when you write those words, you're not just speaking to me, you are declaring to the universe, I am ready. Ready for a new journey, ready to step through the gate that has just opened, and ready to live as a true Sagittarius, radiant without regret.